to another section of mathematics class, our thinking class. For today, this week in general, we'll be looking at trigonometry in relation to angle and the unit circle. So basically, the angle we'll be looking at are those angles that we call special angles, which are particularly in the first quadrant, and we will see how this angle is related to second, third, and fourth quadrant. But the basic thing is, what are the ratio of these basic angles? So the angles we're talking about here are 30, 45, and 60. In the previous lesson, we've already considered angle of 0 and 90 degree in each quadrant, and we find their corresponding values in degree and also in radian. But for this session, we'll be working with these angles, which are 30, 45, and 60, and see that angle in the first quadrant is related to the other angle in the second quadrant. This is a few illustrations. Now we first consider angle in 30 and 60 degrees, and we look at the ratio of this angle given a right angle triangle. Please, the angle must be a right angle triangle where the sides facing angle 30 is 1 and root 3 is the side facing angle 60, while the hypotenuse, the longest side, which is correspondence to angle 90, is 2. So when we take this angle, basically we will have the angle in ratio, and if you compare it with calculator, you will have exactly the same value. And the next one also is angle of 45 degrees. We will check the angle of 45. The corresponding two sides of angle 45 is root 2, while the angle adjacent to 90 degree is 2. So we look at all these special angles in terms of sine, cosine, and tangent. Already we have our trigonometry concept for all these angles to be SOHCAHTOA, where sine of angle is opposite over hypotenuse, the cos of angle is adjacent over hypotenuse, while the tan of that angle is opposite over adjacent. And again, don't forget that we come up with a proof which says that tan theta is also tan theta over cos theta. So when we look at this, it gives us the summary of the table, both angles in degree and also angles in radian. Take for instance, the angle of sine 30 is 1 over 2, angle of cos 30 is root 3 over 2, and angle of tan 30 is also root 3 over 3. And we also have that angle in radian, in which 30 degrees is the same thing as pi over 6. And if you go again and you consider the summary of 60 degrees, you will discover from the table that there is a complementary angle here between sine and cosine. Take for instance, when you check sine 30, is the same thing as angle of cos 60. Complementary. Meaning that if we look at sine theta will be the same thing as cos 90 minus theta, which gives us the relative value of this angle. So from this summary table, we can now move ahead to generate all the angles that is related to this special angle of 30, 45, and 60. So in course of this week, this is where we are going to consider this special angle. What is the corresponding value in the second quadrant, in the third quadrant, and in the fourth quadrant? So with this, without the use of calculator, it's practically possible to find the value of this special angle and its related angles conveniently using the table. So in the course of this study, you will see how all these angles are related, and also it shows and establishes a fact that since tan involves dividing by x, and since x equals to 0, you discover that we have 1/4 and 3/4 of the round circle, to which is 90 and 270 degree, to be undefined. Meaning that if you pick your calculator, you check tan 90 degrees and tan 270 degree, it will be undefined. defined. So these are defined, and all this is related to the sine and it is angle. So meaning that in the first quadrant, your angle remained acute as far as it's less than 90 degrees. In the second quadrant, it is obtuse, and in that second quadrant, the angle will be 180 minus theta. In the fourth quadrant, it will be absolute value of 180 minus theta, meaning that if that angle is more than 180 and you subtract it, we will have a negative value, but we will take the absolute value, which make it positive. And in the fourth quadrant, the angle will be 360 minus theta. So all the examples related to these angles and the sine in each of the quadrants will be discussed intensively during our session, and you will now be able to go to your worksheet, answer all the questions, and submit in due time. Thank you very much. Have a nice day and a blessed weekend. Thank you, and please stay safe. Have a good day.